But after all, will Senku and Kohaku become a couple? Yes, somehow. Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all well. I'm the Monio, the interdimensional demon who talks about Dr. Stone the most on YouTube, and you're on my channel. And there's no point in trying to hide it. If you clicked on this video, it's because you like romance, and at some point you've rooted for Senku and Kohaku to get together, especially when the anime makes a point of insinuating that they could be a couple. But is there really romance in Dr. Stone? Well, in general the answer is yes. Yuzuriha and Taichu are an example of characters who liked each other, and who became a couple over the course of the story, and at the end of the manga they get married, leaving no doubt that they got together. But Senku and Kohaku's relationship is more complex than that, since at various times, there are scenes that show that there is indeed a special bond between the two, but in a more subjective way, and open to interpretation. For example, throughout the manga's story, Kohaku was the only person who managed to connect enough with Senku to the point of being able to understand his feelings. Think about it, Kohaku is not a character like Jen who was made to understand what everyone else thinks, but she still manages to understand Senku perfectly. At the end of the Treasure Island arc, she was the one who realized that Senku was suffering because of his father and went to give him emotional support. Another important point is that Senku was never one to open up about his feelings, but he still told Kohaku how he was feeling, which shows how important she is to him. Another interesting point is that Kohaku is the first person in the series that Senku allowed to hug him without getting grumpy. Senku usually hates being hugged and refuses hugs even from his best friend Taichu, but the first time Senku is genuinely happy to receive a hug is from Kohaku. And again in the special episode he appreciates Kohaku's hug, while she shows gratitude to Senku for always sharing with her, even the risks and responsibilities. Also, when Maz asks Kohaku what kind of man she likes, she repeats the same phrase from the day she met Senku. So in my interpretation, after the end of the original Dr. Stone manga, Kohaku clearly had romantic feelings for Senku, but most of the time they were busy with more important things, like saving humanity or not being killed by someone who wanted to take over the world, so it was never a good time for her to express those feelings. And it is precisely because she understands Senku's feelings that she knows that his priority is not romantic relationships. Kohaku was the first person from the new world that Senku met. She was the first person to support him, and she supported him unconditionally at all times, both in matters of life and death, like fighting Tsukasa or Stanley, and smaller things, like playing a card game. But the Monio, what happens to Senku and Kohaku at the end of the manga? Well, Senku ended the manga working on his project to build a time machine, and Kohaku's official occupation, according to the author's notes, is joining a police force, where she teaches self-defense classes and trains people in hand-to-hand combat. But as we saw in the final scenes of the last chapter, she still continues to meet with her friends and support Senku in rebuilding humanity's technology. And we don't have many more details, since this scene takes place after a time skip of Y Man's defeat. We don't know what happened during that time, so based only on what was shown in the original manga, many people concluded that they were not actually a couple. Then, at the end of 2023, an official spin-off of Dr. Stone was released, continuing the story of the creation of the time machine, called 4D Science, which has 3 new chapters. In this story, there are several scenes that make it clear that Kohaku has feelings for Senku and that he not only knows it, but also reciprocates those feelings. The question is no longer if, but when and how this relationship can unfold, considering the character's goals and personalities, since according to Senku, the only impediment is that he doesn't have time for it. So yes, it's real. We can say that Kohaku and Senku are indeed a couple, although their relationship has not yet been properly formalized, just as Yuzuriha and Taichu have always been a couple. But what about you? Did you know that Senku and Kohaku liked each other? Leave it in the comments, and if you liked the video, subscribe to follow the next content. Until next time my people, demonic hugs.